KCAA.
Grooving, grooving. Ain't no stopping us now. We're on the move. Yeah, yeah.
All right, time. It is time. Time for us. Time for us to be on time for a change. For a change is imminent. Oh, yes, it is. Every day is a new day. An opportunity to show your appreciation for the opportunity that life presents every day. Oh, yeah, yesterday may not have been what you wanted it to be, but that's why we have another shot. That's why we're happy to have another shot. So have a shot of this great sunshine, a shot of this great oxygen, and hopefully a shot of this inspiration that we're going to try to give you this morning. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen here on the case for truth, justice. Truth? Justice? It's possible. It's possible. I mean, we can see injustice, we can see lies. That means we got an idea of what justice and truth is about. So, with the right information, we may be able to improve the situation. That's our goal. We want to entertain you. We want to inspire you. This show is brought to you by the Improve Association, a 501c3 that's dedicated to bringing business and community together. Brought to you by West Side Story newspaper, 30 years of trying to be the best mirror available in terms of reflecting the news that you can use about your neighbors and to be inspired about your possibilities. And of course, you. So KCAA, thank you very much. This morning we are continuing the quest to determine once again, are we going to be consumers? Are we going to be producers? Are we going to soak it up? Or are we going to give it up? Well, folks, I appreciate both sides of that because some of you are going to sit there and, some people may even be taking notes. I don't know. And there's some folks who are making comparisons that, maybe my life is better, your life is better. But the opportunity to make everybody's life better starts very simply. We have here in the county of San Bernardino actually we're in Black History Month. There's a number of activities going around to celebrate Black history. But we're not so much wanting to hang out in the past as the reason for the Black history conversation, the reason for the Black history movement, it used to be Black history no day. It started from no Black history in terms of education, in terms of what this nation talked about. There's no Black history. It started when those Africans were rescued by Europeans and stacked up in boats and brought to America for that opportunity. Well, once again, it wasn't what you want, but we've done okay. Because we're still here to rectify the wrong, observe the route to correctness, and to proceed in that direction. That's what we're going to have to do all the time. I don't care where we get to as we analyze things. We'll never be able to reflect back and say it was perfect or is perfect. And when we look at our plans, there's always someone that will be able to point out to you that it is not a perfect plan, but we move toward perfection. That's the quest. We move toward being better. How do you do that? What's that all about? I don't know. My friend Anthony, the Mood Master Garcia, is here today. You probably didn't even notice how his music is in the background because it sounds so natural. I don't know. Can you hear it? I hope so. But it's like natural. It's organic. It's flowing. It's kind of like the oxygen I'm breathing and all that, but I'm not paying attention to breathing. I'm doing it. Well, Anthony didn't start off playing the guitar and bass and music like he does it now. All that happened over a period of time, the progression, the pursuit of excellence. That's that inspiration. Now, some people could have been, I mean, there's people who were exposed to music just like Anthony was. And, you know, some of them can't even play a triangle and never tried. But, you know, they're doing other things, inspired to do other things. But Anthony was inspired to follow that music step. The Inland Empire, where we live, has inspired and birthed many great musicians. Whether they started off here or ended up here or ending up here. You're surrounded by people who've been inspired to be producers. And they can appreciate the fact that there's some consumers. Well, we all consumed some things that we didn't even know were produced here or produced from here or people that are involved here. You know, we've got a fantastic voyage of information that's going to be available for you in the future. Stick around. Let me point out some of those spots on this fantastic voyage that's available here in the Inland Empire. See you in a minute.
But we won't let nothing hold us back. Gonna put ourselves together.
This is KCAA.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
All right. You probably drive a Volvo. And if you drive a Volvo, it probably treats you better than you treat it. You probably mistreated your Volvo because it lets you get away with it by performing anyway. Treat your Volvo to a checkup by the Volvo doctor. Tom, the owner of All Make Auto in Highland, is the Volvo doctor. Believe me, he's operated on my Volvos for years and kept them to where I don't want to get rid of them. They're still running. A couple 100,000, 300,000 miles on one of them. Tom can help your Volvo stay healthy and strong. Call Tom, the Volvo doctor, 909-425-8200. The Volvo doctor, 909-425-8200. Tom at All Make Auto, 909-425-8200. Fantastic voyage. Boy, there's going to be a fantastic memory of the fantastic group that produced the fantastic voyage, Mr. Mark Woods of Lakeside. Mark has been named as one of the marshals of the San Bernardino County Black History Month Parade, and that's going to be taking place, I think, next Saturday. Let me get that date for you. I'll have that date for you as we go forward. But yeah, Mark Woods, family man, lives here in the Inland Empire with his wife, Sharon Hill, a former Soul Train dancer, a really good one too. So those are some of the people that will be at that parade. They are both parade marshals. You want to be there, and you're going to prove it by sticking around for me to tell you when and where. Anthony Garcia, the Mood Master, my friend.
What's up?
How you doing, dude?
Good. Just staying home, having a good time with my people and my bass.
And your
music.
bass.
Yes.
You've been, since you've been on the show, too, you've been to Hawaii hanging out with your son and
Yes.
carrying on out there with your grandbaby and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'd like to get back there as soon as possible, but I'm trying to move out there, but I'm just looking real weird right now. So, but eventually I'll be out there.
Very good, very good. Well, you are, I mentioned you earlier as a IE resident and historian of sorts, mainly because of your passion and love, not because you want to be a historian. But you've been around the long enough and in the music scene long enough to see a lot of things happen right in the city of San Bernardino along Mount Vernon Avenue. And tell us a little bit about the background.
Well, I grew up right off of Union Street, right off of Mount Vernon, and musically, Route 66 was broken up in two sections, from Foothill to Baseline on Mount Vernon. It was called the Burrito Circuit. Burrito Circuit. From Baseline to Cajon was called the Chitlin Circuit. And people like Tito Puente would go to place at La Cabana, Johnny Otis, Argentina Turner at the Latin Quarters, Joe Sample. I mean, that was a place where, I mean, the best that we had came through there. They had to play.
So we're talking about that corridor that represents like Foothill Boulevard, Cajon Boulevard, Mount Vernon Avenue.
Yeah.
And those streets, as we call them, are actually Route 66. And back when you were growing up, before the freeway was there.
Oh, yeah, way before the freeway. If we had to go to L.A., we'd go down Foothill all the way down to L.A. There was no freeway there.
Yes.
But, the musicians,
And people on their way to Las Vegas
had to go to Cajon to Route 66.
Yeah, so that actually made for, I guess, a nice little piece of commercialism, tourism, things of that sort.
Well, for a long time, it was bumping. There was like, at least between Foothill and Mount Vernon to Cajon, there was at least like maybe 15 nightclubs.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I know you're serious, but I mean, a lot of people, if you would ride that section now, you would not say,
nothing
"Oh,
there.
wow."
Nothing
But there were restaurants, nightclubs, motels.
Yes, there was the Mission Motel right on the corner of, almost the corner of Baseline and Mount Vernon, and they just tore it down, just like the place on the Mission Inn, the Mission, what was it called? The Mission Inn.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm much younger. I'm much younger than you.
East Street on E and Foothill, E and Fifth Street. They tore it down. It was the only historic building we had. They tore it down to put a parking lot that nobody parks in.
Nobody parks in. Well, there's once again the point of the history. So much isn't always just to wish you were there when it was great, but to, look at the possibilities and potential. But let's talk about some of the musicians that you were able to at least know about, and some that you were able to see and participate with. I mean, with all of these nightclubs, there must have been a lot of acts, a lot of things going on to support them.
At that time, I was way too young, but I had relatives, friends. But my dad played at this place called La Cabana. It was
Your dad was a musician?
Yes, and he had his own group. It's called Freddy's Combo, and it was right next door to the Mila Cafe, and they were there for a long time. People like
Mila is a definite landmark, not just for
that's not there anymore either.
San Bernardino, but for everybody who's ever heard of Route 66. If you look up anything about Route 66 in this area, Mitla's restaurant.
Yes,
historic, is rightfully going to be discussed. Still thriving.
It was split up three ways. The Hispanic and the black artists when going west on Foothill, they would turn right on Mount Vernon, and the rest of musicians would go straight up to L.A., and that was part of Route 66. Foothill was part of Route 66.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the country western groups, a lot of real good groups just kept on going straight. They didn't have to make that right, so we did. Going to Arizona, wherever we were going, we couldn't go, we weren't going to L.A.
Yes. But tell us a little bit about the groups, the people that you know that grew up around here that people have heard of.
Okay, well, there's a few families that I have a lot of respect for. One is the Escalante family, great musicians. John L., he passed away, rest in peace. Michael Escalante, he played with Andre Crouch, was on live with Andre Crouch. And his younger brother, Milo, he plays drums and sings. He's still with us. Another one is the Felix family, and great musicians. They did a lot of work. James Felix also played with Andre Crouch, and Bobby Felix was the innovator in bass playing. He kind of led the way here, a bass player named Bobby Felix. Another family was the Nunez brothers. They were more Latin pop than like people like Pete Thompson. Pete Thompson, a sax player. He played a place called Colashana.
Uh-huh.
That was part of the Chitlin circuit. There's a lot of guys I don't want to forget names, but everybody had their own thing. You know, there was work everywhere, everywhere, every night from Thursday through Sunday. There was something happening.
Very good. And you mentioned Nicole Lashana. I know it was B.B. King. Every blues artist that you could think of probably came through there. Certainly down at the Elks Club, the same thing was occurring.
Yeah, that was the 11th of Mount Vernon at the Elks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I was, my group was the first group that did any jazz at the Colashana. We worked out something pretty good with the owner. I forget her name though.
Joan Johnson.
Joan Johnson.
Recently passed, about
Rest in
3-4
peace.
years ago. Yes.
She was real good to us, and she had a lot of insight about what she wanted to do, and she helped us out quite a bit.
Yeah. So talking about progression, those artists, like you say, you were too young to go into the clubs, but at the same time, you were inspired by the music. Your father was a musician. You were, I guess, getting around to the rehearsals. What made you decide to pick up your first instrument, and what was your first instrument, Anthony?
Well, my mother, the last day of school, she had my older brother and I, Dennis, and myself. She had her stuff packed, and she would ship us off to Redlands, where my dad was at, and there were nothing but musicians over there. So it was like going to a music camp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they would rehearse in my grandfather's living room, and one of my uncles made sure that we had hands-on equipment. I had 3 cousins. They all played drums, and one of them, Blasco Yazo, his nickname was Chorizo. He played drums, bass, flugelhorn, piano, and guitar. As soon as, like, their father would send them out to take their lessons on Saturday morning, when they got back, they changed their clothes, and they would teach us everything they knew, they learned over there. So it was
And teach you guys it. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we paid for music lessons for a couple of guys, and then those guys had to come back and teach the rest of the group. That's pretty economically efficient, I think.
Well, it was a blessing. If it wasn't for that, I don't think I would be a musician.
But you just gave me an idea and a thought, and this is a grandpa kind of deal here, hanging around the grandkids.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you've got the little quick ones, I want to put a bell on them so I could hear them, But then the idea of giving them an instrument to play, when you don't hear the instrument anymore, you better go look for them.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they were doing. Very good babysitting technique. And plus it produces musicians. Man, that's a pretty good deal. You guys stick around. We're going to take a short break. And you come back, we can teach you something else that you can use to help keep those grandbabies and yourself very satisfied with the potential. See you in a sec.
We're on the move.
KCAA.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
2911, 909-963-2911. Say Wallace sent you, get the $10 discount, the Wallace discount.
Wallace discount.
Try the street tacos. I'm going to make that suggestion. Try the street tacos.
Say that again, the Wallace.
The Wallace discount. Give them a call, 909-963-2911. Cafe Organics. Great food, tastes good, good for you. Can't beat that stuff, boy. The Wallace discount, man.
That sounds illegal.
If you can get Terrence to step off to the side, you might ask him for a bigger discount. But he's going to ask you, did you like the food? And you're going to have to confess and say you did. And then you might talk yourself out of the discount because you say, well, yeah, it was worth more than. So I don't know. Do what you want to do. But once again, get by Cafe Organics, 420 East Hospitality Lane, Suite A10 or something like that.
The Wallace discount. Don't forget about the Wallace discount. Right?
Oh, man. It's really. Have you been there?
Nope.
Okay, we'll have to hook you up and get you over there so you can find out and. You got some money?
I got your money.
All right, then. Very good. We'll take you over there next month sometime when things work out. No, we'll get you over there. Anthony.
September.
Yeah,
September.
Yeah, we just had a phone call. We have a phone call from our friend Mark Woods. He's waiting for us to give him a call back. Mark Woods, once again, the guy who wrote Fantastic Voyage, member of Lakeside. You know that group, Lakeside? They did a lot of other things, too. We'll have Eric pull up some of those things. But, Eric, if you can come in, I'll give you that number, and you can give him a call, and we can go from there. Don't accidentally delete that thing, Wallace. All right, here. Very good, Eric. Hello, you guys. I'm giving Eric Mark's phone number. Probably should have done that earlier, but then when we start talking about all the shoulda dones earlier, I guess my name won't be the only one on that list. All right. So, I mean, well, no, that's serious business. Because as soon as I started stepping off there, I know somebody said, "Oh man, you should have had that. Should have had, could have had, would have had, all of that stuff." Anthony, tell me about should have had.
Should have had. You should have been paying attention.
All right. So, Anthony.
Yes.
We're talking about that strip of music heaven that Mount Vernon Avenue used to be from, I guess we're saying 5th Street north to Cajon Boulevard on Mount Vernon Avenue. Right.
I could think of from 5th Street to Baseline. There's the Mambo, the Sissy, La Cabana, and four other places. I think the 3/8. Those were all close between Mount Vernon and 5th Street and Baseline. Then on the Chitlin part, there was a Mission Motel, there was the Colishana, the Latin Quarters, and the Alex Club. It was called something else, so it wasn't called that. Yeah,
No, then there's a place where the Carpenters Union is.
The Carpenters, the Colishana, and then there's 3 other places I can't think of the name of.
But historically, you know, we're talking about the fact that those things were there. They inspired others. We had what's the young man's the rock star from Fontana you grew up?
Oh yeah, what is his name?
Well, you know, there
Sammy
you go.
Hagar.
Yeah, Tommy Hagar.
I'll tell you a story. Right before I got drafted, I was.
Yeah. Can you remember the story? Maybe I should have asked you this
I was
a couple
his bass
years
player.
ago.
I was his bass player, and I got drafted, and I waited 3 times. He said, "Let's go to Canada." I said, "I gotta go, man. I can't do this for my family." That's the last time I saw him.
Wait a minute. You're talking about you got drafted, and you said something about going to Canada. And
He wanted me to go to Canada with him.
Oh,
I said, I can't do that.
Okay,
man.
go. You wanted. This wasn't to go get a gig. This was to prevent a gig.
Yeah, it's prevent from getting shot at. Prevent from having to kill somebody.
Yeah. So
But I
once
got
again,
drafted and went, but that's the last time I saw him. I never saw him after that.
really?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
all the times you traveled back here, and you guys, but you never saw him again.
Do you know that people used to laugh at that guy because they said he was never going to do anything. He would be everywhere like a little pest. Go here, go there, and I practiced him for like 3 months. I was assistant manager at a place called Hardy Shoe Store, and I used to go to Lear's Music and practice the bass. And he told me he was looking for a bass player, and he said, I need a rock and roll bass player. He says, I really don't play rock and roll. He said, I heard you play rock and roll for the last half hour, he said. So we hooked up, but that's the last time I saw him. I never got hold of him or nothing.
What was the band he's with? He's really. I'm just.
Sammy's band?
Yeah.
Sammy Hagar band has it.
Sammy Hagar band.
Then he played with the guys that Just a Gigolo. I forget the name of that band.
Very good. Very good. Well, is Mark on the phone? Man. Okay, so give me some music there. Yeah. Let's shake Mark up a little bit. And I love making that statement. I really
Extremely
do.
blessed.
Very
Good.
much. Well, you
good
know
to talk
it
to
is.
you.
It's a blessing to have the opportunity to keep on trying because, if you've been around
That's
any
right.
length of time, you know that everybody that was here last night isn't here this morning. And
That's right.
It's a blessing to be able to have a talent and to express it and then have the world respond to it. Mark, I have in the studio with me my friend Anthony Garcia, the Mood Master, bass player, and we were talking about how, there's a difference in being an observer and being inspired and being a producer, producing things, making things happen. you made things happen. I watched a tape on you discussing, the movement from. I mean, you're one of the few people I know that makes the music business sound like it was just a wonderful progression, and everybody I met was really cool on the way, except for a little this, that, and the other. But everything was really cool. Positive attitude. How much do you think having a positive attitude greased the slide for you and made your life better?
Well, I can tell you that it's really what it's all about, because it links into something you just said just a few minutes ago. I mean, the power of faith is what this is really all about. You have to have faith and believe in what you're doing. And I've been blessed to do something I started out in the alley, in the basement doing, and having a band, basically the same organization, of course, different people, since the age of 15, 16 years old. And it was in California by 17, 18 from Ohio. And so, yes, I counted all joy, I counted all a blessing that each time I go out there and able to perform in front of such, wonderful people who get you, in a lot of ways, who you can brighten their day.
Yeah, Mark, you look out in the audience the same way you look out in the audience and see somebody that's really hooked up and cheering with you. 3 or 4 seats away, there's somebody else, they look like they wonder why they even came. To pay attention, who you decide to pay attention to.
What you see is the transformation, okay. and sometimes you do zero in just on a person or a situation that says exactly that. I needed lifting at this time, and that's what it's really all about. You don't really pick them out individually because you're trying to
no, the genesis
lift
of
everybody.
The genesis of your look expresses something about how you were brought up, because you didn't look at that person that I just described that was deficient with their attention as somebody that, oh, wow, why is this guy not paying attention? You looked at him as somebody that, oh, he's the one that I came here to lift up and give my energy to so that he can be better. Man, that's a good guy.
Because that's what it is. You take a person and say, that I can flip. That if I can get him, then I got everybody else.
Oh man, that sounds like chasing girls. That's amazing.
Very good analogy.
Yeah, and I say that too because once you find what you're looking for, if you're smart.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So I'm understanding. First of all, Mark, I appreciate the fact that you're going to be one of the parade marshals at the San Bernardino County Black History Month parade, and that your wife Sharon is also going to be one of the parade marshals. And so, in looking up and getting a little background on you guys, and I hope Sharon's around. I talk about how we start and how we get involved and how we finish up. And you started off in Dayton. There were, from what you're saying, the same way that Michael Jordan or somebody might talk about the basketball hoops that were in the neighborhood. You talk about the various bands that were in their neighborhood. And I'm sure that there were people playing basketball, but you were into the music scene.
We were doing all of that, but the bands were the unique thing, and I think because we were
are you saying you did play basketball? You did play basketball
in garages. We were able to develop.
Hold on just a second. Did you say that you were playing basketball and stuff too?
Oh yes.
Okay, so let me ask you.
Little League.
Let me ask you something.
Steve Arrington from Slave.
Let me ask you something. I got a point here now. Okay, can you think of anybody famous that played baseball that grew up with you, or played basketball or football that made it?
No, but I know musicians that were famous that played baseball when we were little, like Steve Arrington from Slade. And we used to do drum solos between games in Little League. And we both had Red Pearl drum sets and things like that. We both started as drummers and ended up being lead singers of our bands. Slave and Lakeside.
Very good. I was trying to find out if you guys were so good at baseball that you could name somebody that was famous, and you said, well, we whipped up on him so good we decided to go play music because it became boring. But
Oh, I got that story, but it's at football. You got to understand.
Okay, I did ask
Football will
about
change your
football.
mind in one day, and I had such a rough time. And being the center and got knocked around.
Oh,
So on
yeah.
the way home that day,
Oh,
I
yeah.
said, I can sing, I can play drums. I don't have to go through.
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. So recognizing things, and that's what we were talking about. Your wife left Galveston, Texas, on a 2-week vacation to Los Angeles, and became a Soul Train dancer. I don't know how long after that she went back to Galveston, but I'm sure she went back because she had the kind of family you don't
not
ignore.
for a while.
But I know she paid homage to her parents quite a bit there.
Absolutely.
And but the thing is that, and if she's around, we'd like to get with her a little bit later. But the thing is, you guys met. I don't know if you was trying to, you were a rock star at the time. I don't know if your intentions were good initially, but she had she had enough home training to to be sure that because in the little piece that I saw,
Well,
she ended up saying,
you
"I
know
made
that
him."
when you see them because like you said, some people you can tell they raised right.
She
from
she
the way
said
they carry themselves.
specifically, I made him put a ring on it. And I thought, she got very contemporary with a traditional thought there. So that's pretty good. But you guys have been together ever since.
Oh yeah, but the whole approach was even before I left Ohio. I knew that this was the girl for me. Even though I had claimed I was going to New York prior to I ended up going to L.A. instead. But seeing her on Soul Train, I just thought that was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen.
Wait a minute. So your intentions are on the edge of what I was thinking there. You had seen her on TV. Now, from her story that I heard on the video, she got a call that someone from Lakeside, I don't know if she called it Lakeside at that point, but this group wanted to talk to her. And she responded, and I guess at that point, and I'm not clear on it, but the Soul Train dancers were actually going on the road, opening up for groups. So that kind of
that was early. They had been doing that already. This was at a point. See, like I said, she was already dancing on Soul Train since '71. I got there in '72. I didn't really meet her until in a couple of years after that. But when I saw her. Chuck worked on the show, and he just recently passed. As a matter of fact, I'm singing at his memorial service on the 4th of March, coming up pretty soon. Chuck Johnson, my friend, and the person that introduced me to my lovely wife, who not introduced me to her, but made
facilitated,
facilitated. Yeah, because whether she was going to talk to me was highly in question.
If it had turned out bad, he'd have caught the blame instead of the credit. I got you. Okay. Very good.
Right. No, he's always a wonderful person, and make Chuck rest in heavenly peace, because this is one of the really smooth, great people that was around the beginnings of Soul Train and Solar Records.
Excellent. So you were able to admire her from a distance. Chuck created a little bridge that introduced you guys, and she evidently felt the same way about you that you did about her. Once again, you guys have been an image that we need more of in terms of people loving each other, getting along with each other, and the music business, the entertainment business, to be able to stay strong in the middle of all of those obvious distractions that we pray for. The idea that somebody's going to take you on a world tour is what you pray for, but it could also be a distraction in terms of your relationships with your family, with things of that other sort. So holding that together in the midst of those kind of opportunities to escape on some type of fantastic voyage is available. So So, but your piece, Fantastic Voyage, that's it's been played I don't know how many times in how many places around the world. It's certainly been sampled and used by our hip hop artist, tremendous number. What are your thoughts about the fantastic journey that Fantastic Journey has allowed you to take?
It's still quite unbelievable. We, like I said, we come from bands that were writing songs, but to come up with Fantastic Voyage really was just the first time that as a collective we were producing our first album ourselves instead of with Leon, and co-producing with Leon. We had to kind of bond in a way that we would fight for ourselves and do what's best for the record. And so a statement came that said, if it don't lay, it don't stay.
Okay.
And that means not getting on the record if it's not really happening, you know. So that...
We're not putting no placeholders in here. We're putting soldiers in.
Yeah. There ain't nothing coming in on the record but, you know, high quality. It's like, it's got to be Kobe beat, you know.
In the newspaper business, we call it fillers, you know, and things that are fillers are not, you know, they're not bringing you any money, but they should hopefully bring some attention. But they're fillers. They're not things that.
Well, yeah. We never approached the albums like that. That's why
you don't want
it's always good to buy a Lakeside album, and you know, even if you do buy the single, buy the album because it's a lot of various styles within the 7 or 8 song set. But I wanted to take a minute also to let you guys know that I have a new record, a follow-up to that Fantastic Voyage that will be coming on a re-release in the next couple of weeks called Jam Boogie Island. Jam Boogie Island is a fantasy-type record, again, for, escape kind of, hey, let's go have a good time and forget about everything else and all the problems in the world.
It sounds
it's
like
one of those kind of songs, just for fun.
It sounds like a big festival, Jam Boogie Island, you know. That's good. When you get it ready, you let us know. We'd like to be one of the ones to
We sure will. And I'd like to let you talk to the other Grand Marshal of the Fontana Parade. And hold on just a minute. This is my wife,
Sharon Hill Woods.
Hold on.
Good morning.
I saw you on Soul Train.
Yeah, right.
I know my singing was so good you thought that was a record cut, but no, I just did that as an audition for Mark's next record. That's
an audition for whatever, huh?
Yeah,
anything that comes up.
Listen, I watched a video that of an interview with you, and I was just so impressed with your authenticity, your escape. It was your escape from Galveston, but you had to ask your mama, and then you had to ask your daddy to talk your mama into it. That's respect. Respect. That's respect. These kids now, some of them then would have just took off and well, you didn't have no cell phones, but you'd have called them after you got far enough away that they wasn't going to be able to come get you. But you asked for it, and you got their permission. And you went to big time L.A.
I mean, as soon as I stepped into Los Angeles, 3 days later, doors just started opening back to back to back. And I was only there, like I mentioned, for 2 weeks. But my mother, by having 10 girls, she has say. But when my daddy speaks, he has the final word. So when he said, let her go, if she doesn't like it, she'll come back. But when I got there, like I said, 3 days later, things just started happening back to back.
Were you looking for the LA opportunity? Were you looking to be discovered? Were you just wide-eyed and happened to be in the right spot?
I was raised on the island, Galveston Island. I just wanted to go somewhere, see something different, meet new faces. Just for 2 weeks. Just let me go for 2 weeks just to have a different view.
Let me ask this. Had you been to Houston?
Had I been what?
To Houston, across the other side, on the other side?
Not as a teenager, no. My mom was real strict with the girls. Only my older sisters. I was the 5th girl out of 10 girls.
And Houston
The
was
old-
how far away as far as?
It was about 45-minute run. So by me being a teenager, no, she's not gonna let me run over to Houston for what? She didn't even want me to come to California. She said that California would swallow Sharon up,
She let
and
you
it has
go.
earthquakes. but sometimes, people have to step out and take a chance.
And you're always
You know,
stepping into an area that nobody fully knows about.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows what tomorrow may bring. But you can't be afraid to make just that step, because God is always with you. If you love Him, He loves you, and He'll protect you. So I just wanted to go for a 2-week vacation, just to get off the island just a little bit.
Well, there was, as we look at the Soul Train dance list, there's a hierarchy of sorts where people say who's the most famous, who's the most this, who's the most that. You were in L.A. a couple of days or however long. You had been watching Soul Train. Was Soul Train on your mind when you got there at all?
I had seen the show at home in Galveston, but when I left for the 2-week vacation, I told one of my schoolmates, I'm getting on that Soul Train. I don't know how, but I'm getting on that show. And I'm only there, and I knew I was going to only be there for 2 weeks.
And
my mouth said it. I just said it. I'm going to get on that show. I'm going to find out how to get on that show. Didn't know when they were taping, didn't know anything. I just know when I got there, it's going to be taping. I don't know. I spoke it.
Very good. And that's why people should be careful about what they speak. Because
right.
you could have spoken and said, I'll never get on Soul Train.
That's right.
And,
That's
you'd
right.
be sitting over here with me somewhere, never been a Soul Train dancer, auditioning on your own radio show.
Yes, I mean, American Bandstand won a car. Who would have ever thought? Touring, seeing some of the old school rhythm and blues bands out there that is just awesome. Old school.
I want to get back to how powerful speaking the word is. I was saying that there was a little hierarchy of who the most famous or the great dancers were, and you were in L.A. You went to a skating rink, which you had never done before, but you did know how to skate, evidently. That's a step above some people I know that are at this table, and it's not Anthony. So you were at a skating rink, and somehow who saw you skating and who became the person to invite you to Soul Train?
Who invited me to the show?
Yeah.
Patricia Davis. When I got here to Los Angeles 3 days later, this kid, I'll never forget his name, Cedric Allen.
Allen is his last name?
Allen. Cedric
probably
Allen.
one of my cousins. That's my last name. You guys, that's very good. We've closed the gap.
Wow, you never know.
That makes my audition a little more powerful. Go on.
You never know. Who's related to who. But he lived downstairs beneath my sister. And 3 days later when I was there, now see, growing up in Galveston, we didn't have a whole lot, but we did have skating. And that's one of the things that we love besides the beach. And so growing up skating, when he said to me, I want to, invite you, and usually I would say no because I hear my mom telling me no so much, I would say no to everybody. No, I don't want to do this. No, no. So, but when he said, I would like to invite you out this weekend, I really wanted to say no, thank you. But when he said skating.
Very good.
The skating?
Nice, wholesome activity.
Love skating. That's just one of the main things that we did. So my eyes were so big and I was so excited. But I'm thinking skating was going to be on a beach like we do, or on the street.
Mm-hmm.
He took me to a skating ring. I never, ever knew about a skating rink.
Exciting.
And it was awesome.
And music playing. So you weren't really at just skating, you were dancing. You were at a
I just went to the skating ring just to see what it was like, because I thought it was up on a beach, but it was indoors, and it was great music. People were doing all kind of dancing on the floor. It was amazing. But the way I got on Soul Train, I was there at the skating ring, and I went into the ladies' room, and I was at the sink washing my hands. And so before I left out of the ladies' room, this girl, Patricia Davis, which is a regular, on the show. So I recognized her face from home. So me growing up, it's all about respect, to people. So I said hello. She said hello. For some reason, she said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Texas." She said, "What part?" "Galveston." She said, "I'm from Texas." We had a little short conversation, and then she said, "Would you like to go on Soul Train?" Can you believe it? I don't know how I'm going to get on Soul Train. I told my classmate, but I'm going to find out. And she said, "I would like to invite you to Soul Train. Would you like to go?" So she said, "I'm a regular, and I can walk you in as a guest." Didn't have to stand in line, didn't have to go through security. I'm looking at all these teenagers in line waiting for one of the coordinators to come out and pick and choose who to come in. She walked me right in. So that's how I got on with Patricia Davis.
Let's appreciate Miss Patricia, but let's also appreciate some of the preparation that made Miss Patricia's decision a little more obvious to me from a distance. So you're out there skating. You're 15 years old, and you're skating to music, which you normally didn't do, right?
You to my skating in Los Angeles
I'm talking
or at home?
about when you were skating normally before you came to Los Angeles.
Right.
There were no big music scenes going on. You were just skating. Am I correct?
It was just skating.
Okay, so when you got to the skating rink and heard the music, something happened and you started skating and dancing, right?
No dancing on the skates, just because we just skate at home. We didn't have the music.
When you got there with the music, are you sure you're telling me that music didn't put a little more oomph in your hips as you slipped as you went around that? Now wait a minute. You're gonna tell me that hearing music like Fantastic Voyage or whatever they were playing didn't make you want to let your backbone slip a little bit as you skated around the rink? Come on, I ain't going for that. I believe that Miss Pat saw you skate so smoothly because your transition to getting on Soul Train was not that of an amateur dancer. She hooked you up, not with some dancer that, maybe she hooked you up with Bone.
Yeah.
Okay, the guy if you want to talk back and look at some of the men dancers, this guy was slim. He could bend, and he did amazing things. She hooked you up with number one. You don't hook number 0 up with number 1.
Right.
Okay, so she had some respect off the top for your dancing that you didn't do while she was watching you skate. Okay, and I'm gonna risk my reputation because when I said who was the number 1 dancer, who do people respond to? Pat Davis is it. She's the one when we say they'll name her first. She picked you when you performed. You didn't just go out there and do the Galveston gap. You went out there.
No. I enjoyed the music, and it was really
your mama
music.
and daddy were very surprised, and your sisters were extremely surprised.
They were
at the dancing that you were
but
able.
Listen,
the choreography, and we're gonna choreography because it was amazing stuff.
Listen,
we're on the shortest. This is the quickest hour on radio. I'm sorry, Sharon. This is the quickest hour on radio. We're going to have you guys come in if you want to come defend yourself or extend yourself in the future. Because I want to thank you for being a resident of the Inland Empire. I want to thank you for being available to us to be a marshal at the San Bernardino County Black History Parade. I want to thank you for responding to my friend Ellen Turner, who, by the way, had to go to the hospital this morning, so we want to extend a little prayer for her. And she just called me, so I know she's doing better. But we want to pray for her health, and we want to pray that people like you and your husband and my friend Anthony here,
Okay.
who become inspired because of what they're exposed to as young people, who maintain the lane of positiveness in the face of all of the things that are so distracting and attracting you to come and be a little less than what you could be. So I appreciate that. I'd like to give you a moment to, kind of finish up. I don't want to leave you like I did, but you've got about 30 seconds, 45 seconds to close us out of here and to close us out for you and for Mark, and we'll get you guys again.
I have 30 seconds, and I have to do what?
You just used up about 5 of them. Just finish up and say what you want to say about who you are and your wonderful family. That's all.
Oh, okay. This is Sharon Hillwood again, and I'm just so thankful for just God, just believing and just having faith and not giving up and speaking things that you want to come to pass. And, everything is just, unbelievable. You just never think that things can be possible, but it is. It can be.
Thank
and
you
I
so
just
much.
want everybody to just, have that faith in God and continue, in this world that we live in.
Thank you very
bless you
much.
all. Bless you all.
Thank you. All right, that's it, folks. Once again, be careful what you say because you will probably get what you request. So don't request the evil things. Go ahead.
Don't forget, LakesideCaptainMarkWood.com, okay?
All right,
Check out
good
the
deal,
new
Mark.
music.
Hey, we're going to have you guys come on again. I really appreciate your attitude, like being in the atmosphere. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen, here with the Mood Master, Eric. Great show. Thank you. This is the opportunity to prepare for later on. Take advantage of it. Be good. See you guys next week under 2 circumstances. 1, the good Lord's will, and 2, the creek don't rise. God bless you. Love you. Thank you.
KCAA Loma Linda.